What up? What it do? It's your boy Q on Vision Eye View TV YouTube, and I see a lot of a mix of like old and new people in the live chat. For those of you who are here, I'm gonna say this in advance just so that you guys don't feel like someone tricked you or something. No, Alex will not be here tonight. It is just me. It's just I used to be JDQ. Now I just go by Q. But those of you who are here, whether it be from the other channel, right, from your boy JDQ, and have made your way here, because this is a stream mainly for Vision IVU TV. But I did decide to go ahead and kind of like also use the collective of the other channel, the old channel. But regardless, for those of you who are here, whether from one channel or the other, I do appreciate all of you guys in advance. God bless all of you. Blessings and love to every single one of you guys. And yeah, for those of you like this right here, haven't thought about this channel in a while. Yeah, so the reason why I never use the old channel is because I know most of you were onboarded by Alex and because of Alex, and I didn't want there to be any friction. I didn't want anyone to feel like they're being duped by watching content that wasn't about catching and confronting, right? So I've left the old channel alone for a very long time because of that. And I've explained that a few times over the past 2 or 3 years. Um, however, however, there are moments like tonight where I think it's merited that I use both of these channels, because the things I'm going to talk about tonight, I think for the most part, they're mainstream all the way through. And when I say mainstream, I just mean that they're not so Christ centered, if you will. So, I'm going to be talking about topics that most of us can get on board with and kind of just have the same mindset on, I guess. So, for those of you who are just passing by saying hello, thank you in advance. For those of you who will stay the course, I appreciate that as well. But yeah, let's get right into it. Let's get right into it. So, first things first, today is April 1st, right? So, happy April Fools to everybody, right? And I guess the first thing I want to share with you guys is, this over here. I'm gonna just go ahead and read the post here, or the article. It's by Florida Today. It says liftoff. NASA's mighty Artemis 2 rocket launch is sending astronauts toward the moon. Right now, I heard about this a few days ago, right? And I at the very first thing that crossed my mind, without even taking too much time on the actual announcement, was like, in that like April 1st, because they said like Wednesday, right? They didn't really like specify the day or whatever. But once I looked up Wednesday, I was like, that's like April 1st, man. So I mean, no offense, but if you're trying to, like fool somebody, um, picking April 1st, April Fool's Day is not the best look. It's not the smartest thing they've done. So, but yeah, the reason I'm bringing that up is because, of course, for those of you who know me, who've known me for a while, y'all know that I am a huge like believer that we never landed on the moon. Um, Not necessarily that space is fake per se, because I know there's a lot of people out there that argue that space is also fake. I don't. I'm not in that camp of thought, you know. However, I do believe that space is not as they tell us to be, or as they have taught us that it is. So that's a completely different conversation altogether. But yeah, so apparently this is supposedly happening right now, happening today, right? And yeah, I just wanted to hear kind of like everybody else's opinion on this. You know what I mean? Because I could sit here all day and give my reasons and my opinions, and sort out information that I've come across throughout the years of why I think the way I think. I was in a rabbit hole. By the way, I'm sorry if I didn't shout out anybody right now, but huge shout out to Dead Twist, Jake, Zig, Omar, Marco, of course, FM. I mentioned him earlier. Matt. Who else is on here? Bulldog. I don't know. Anybody else who is here or was here, I appreciate it. It does mean a lot to me. And matter of fact, those who are gonna stay here and aren't used to this type of content, right? I do appreciate it. It does mean a lot to me as well. So thank you for the support. Yeah, goes a long way. But yeah, let me hear you guys' thoughts in the live chat. What y'all think about this. Matter of fact, I wonder if I can somehow signal Fallen World Films and get them to have a convo with me about this. That would be pretty cool if I could get him on here. I used to have his email, but I don't know what happened. I don't know if we ever confirmed each other on email or whatever, but I don't know if Dead Twist is, if somehow there's a way for you to get a hold of him and let him know that I would love to have him get on with me and just have like a fun combo about all this. Yeah, but anyways, let's not get those last names. That's an interesting conversation. So, which by the way, guys, I welcome and receive all comments and opinions and all that stuff. I've always been someone who I'm always willing to hear people out, right? I'm always willing to hear what their thoughts are, their opinions, and I respect everybody's like mindset, right? So Steven says, or Steve says, bruh, all respect, but if we can't trust science for space, then let's not get those life saving. And you know what's funny about that is I don't trust. I don't trust doctors and hospitals with those life saving surgeries, because you know what? I recently lost my father a couple years back because they were wrong about certain things that they performed on him. You know what I mean? So it's like, and that's not just based off of one experience. There's been multiple experiences where, there's been malpractice, or there's been, doctors that have differing opinions. And one of them will say, oh, uh, let's do it this way. The other one says, no, I think you should do it this way, that way. Right. And then I had to hear from another doctor that was, giving their secondary opinions on the procedure that they were going to perform on my father, right? And after after the fact, well, between them cutting off my father's foot, right, like half of his foot to try to save the rest of the leg, between that moment and his death, I had to overhear, because they didn't even have the nerve to come into the room and talk to us about this. I had to overhear at the hallway the other doctor that was giving their secondary opinion. I had to hear them cry and pretty much like tell the other doctor, the one who performed the procedure on my father, like we could have saved his foot, like we could have saved him had we done it the way I told you to. I like, no one else heard that but me. I was literally like just walking through like the hallway, and I don't think they knew that I was part of like his family. And yeah, like I had to overhear that. And when I heard that, when she was telling the other guy, like, hey, damn, like we lost him because you didn't listen to my advice, and we could have saved his foot and we could have saved him, but you went and did it another way, and here we are now, right? But anyways, I digress. I'm not saying to never trust, right, doctors and nurses. I'm not saying that. But if I had to place my life in like in one of those like life-saving, life-altering surgeries, me personally, I would not. I would just be like, you know what? I'm just gonna like die whenever I die, because more than half the time someone does some type of like life-saving surgery, they actually die sooner than what they were supposed to. You know what I mean? Um, but yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Thank you. Um, yeah, the medical field just spent 7.8 years trying to poison people with a certain, you know what, for money. Yep. Doctors, what is good? I don't know, man. I don't know. I hear you, but history tells a different story. You know what I mean? As far as like worldwide, um, like what's the word I'm looking for? Health providers have kind of like shown us a different side to that, or a different face when it comes to the well-being of the people, right? Um, yeah, me too, me too, me too, and that's why I'm saying, like I'm not saying don't trust any doctor or any like nurse. No, there's good doctors out there. There's great nurses out there who actually care about the people and who do everything that they actually can for the patients, and they try to figure things out as best as possible. But sadly, more than half the time, when it comes to like those life saving or life changing procedures, it goes haywire. Um, yeah, yeah, I appreciate that. It is messed up. Um, Pill pushing falls. Exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. They're the items against for the record. Exactly. Especially the pill. Yep. It's a lot. That conversation, that topic, that specific topic per se, is a completely different conversation altogether, and that goes way, way deep. I would say it would go even further back to the uh, the the germ theory, or not the germ theory. Man, the the vaccine theory, like when the first vaccines like first came out, how they developed them, the whole horse situation. I'm gonna go because I'm not with it. I only go when they like if I'm getting a new job or whatever, right? And I'm sent to go get like lab work done, or something along those lines. That's like the only times I ever go to a doctor. Or when something crazy happens, right? Something like completely unusual, right? Happens, like what happened last year, where for the first time in my entire life, I had like a panic attack, and my heart was racing to like a million. And for the first time I had to go in because I could not stop crying. I could not stop, like I had a hard time like breathing. I felt like my soul was being like just like leaving out of me. And that happened like last year, I think, at some point. But besides stuff like that, which that rarely ever happens, that was like the only time. Well, actually, it happened like twice last year, but that was like the only time I saw myself going to the doctor or to a hospital, because of something rare that I was going through. Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate that, bro. Yeah, I mean that's why I'm saying like, um, even further back than that, the whole vaccine development and all that. But yeah, yeah, um, yeah, exactly, exactly. look, look, look. I'm wearing this for a reason. You know what I'm saying? Like I I had to like reach deep into like my drawer and find this. But yeah, yeah, yeah. I want to hear you guys' thoughts. Like, yeah, so tips. Hey, I appreciate that. I appreciate those words. Truly, genuinely, I appreciate that. That feedback. And hey, whenever you want, you can make that jump to Vision IVU TV, where we talk about a lot of this type of stuff. And I mean, back when it was like the full team, and I had Geeko and producer Jay having these conversations with me, it was a lot more fun and a lot more dynamic. Right now, for the moment being, it's just me, and that's okay. Like for now, because I'm just getting back into making content and getting on here. I'm like dipping my toes and dipping my ankle back into the waters of live stream. But he's crazy good though. He's a good type of crazy. Exactly, a good way. You know what's crazy is he has the ability, and this is probably why he's gotten so far in life as far as like career and work goes. But he has such a great ability to retain so much information in such a short amount of time and be able to like express it. So like if he just got done watching a, a documentary or like a video, but he watched it like last week or like 5 days ago, right? But he'll still like say be able to say the information almost like to the T, like how he watched it. And I mean, I'm not that good. Like I have to like see it right now and have it fresh in my mind to be able to like talk about it. But him and producer Jay, they're really amazing minds. They're really great, people who hold the conversation well. And I, for the most part, I can hold a conversation well. Um, if and when um, I'm the one who like pretty much like set up or scheduled the actual topics, or whatever. But if you kind of like bombard me with like topics that I'm not aware of and just like um what's the word I'm looking for? Like man, there's a word for that. But anyways, if you just like sneak attack me with like, a certain topic that I wasn't aware of, I'll listen and I'll make questions regarding the topic, right? But I won't have any information to be able to ping pong back and forth with. But they're really good at that. They're really good at that. Um, see, and I'm glad you brought that up. And you know what happens with that is pride. It's pride, and again, we've talked about this in the past before, right? And what happens is, so from the moment you're born all the way until like college, and even sometimes past college, you are given the same or similar information over and over and over again. And the same thing happens in different cities, different states, different regions of the world, right? They're all collectively receiving similar, if not the same exact information, right? So over time, everybody believes the same exact thing because it's being taught time after time, year after year, decade after decade, so on and so forth. And no one challenges it. So it's kind of like you have to learn it or else. You have to learn it or you don't pass grade school. You have to learn it or you won't be accepted into society. You have to learn it or you won't get into college, right? But all everyone is ever doing is just learning, well, not learning, sorry. They're receiving the information and they're just regurgitating because it was taught to them for so long. That's all they know. But they've never gone out and tested things for themselves, you know? Um, yeah, yeah. Uh, Not from to be down to chat with you. We're always here for it, man. We're always here for it. I enjoy talking with people about these things and rhetoric. Yeah, I love talking about these topics. Because a lot of people are scared to talk about them because they think that they'll be like ridiculed, right, or mocked, or what. And sometimes it does happen. Or actually, when it comes to this topic of space and all that, it does happen a lot. However, however, like if you know where to look and you know where to go, there's a lot of great, useful, analytical information and um, testable theories and testable, um, oh my goodness, experiments that everyone and anyone can do to like actually challenge the status quo, right? In a positive way, in a positive manner. The problem is that mainstream has the control of where they can push people to look, right? Right, correct. So like when mainstream has that control over people and they say, "Oh, look at what, these flat earthers think." And they'll send people to like the most ridiculous channels where, you know, they don't really truly believe like what it is, and none of them have done experiments, right, that hold their own, right? And then people see that and they're like, ah, man, I thought it was gonna be something like interesting, but you know, it's not like legitimate or whatever. Yeah, exactly, exactly. It's good in conversations, hard for people. Exactly, but you know what? Like, I think as long as people have those conversations, even if certain people don't listen or respect, at the very least, there's always the possibility that there's that small seed that gets planted and grounded into the people's like hearts and minds, right? So even if it's just a little tiny bit, you know, that you can kind of like sow that seed into people's like minds, just to have them think about things, because that's the thing, like no one here is like trying to convert anybody from one thing to another. No one here is trying to convince anyone of anything. It's just like, hey man, just think about it. Just really genuinely just sit down and think about it. That's all. Like no one's telling you to like come join our side or whatever. Just, you know, just listen and think about it. Um, exactly, exactly. But yeah, let's well, we're gonna go through some of the other topics in a second here. Um, but I don't know if that's was I don't know if you were able to get a hold of Tim. It's Tim, right, from Fallen World Films? Tim. I'm assuming it's Tim. It's been a long time, so I forget. Um, Astro says exactly. I've seen an Indian engineering student show mathematically how the measurements for globe Earth would scale and be accurate on flat Earth. When we perceive as measurement that right. And there's people who have done tests and experiments out on the water, out on the ocean, out on the beaches, gotten like there's extremely high powerful like zoom cameras and telescopes and all that. And you know, there's a lot that goes into it, man. There's a lot that goes, but there's been awesome results from those experiments, but you'll never hear about those because, again, the mainstream has the power of the narrative, and they'll point you towards nonsense. Like, oh, this is what flat earthers believe. You know, these are the things that they you know, consider to be true. When in reality, the actual people who believe in the actual like theory, right, are out there doing performing like actual experiments, you know, and not just regular people too. That, you know, you've got actual legitimate like PhD type like scientists out there performing these experiments and like proving proving the opposite of the status quo. You know what I mean? So it's not just like normies and like average Joes out there just doing experiments on, you know, um by their own way. It's yeah, and the 1000 one too, Nixon P 1000. Exactly. Yeah, that is still up. And but what's sad is that, you know, so people will see that. People of like the globe earth, they'll see that and oh, it's reflect what was the word? Not reflection. It's, I forget the word. It's something that sounds like reflection. And it's like, see, when you make up excuses for what we're trying to show you, because your cognitive dissonance doesn't allow you to like take a moment to really take it in and question it and be like, huh, that's interesting, because I've been told that, you know, this is the information and this should happen if this experiment were to be performed, but it's shown me otherwise. But people will dismiss it right away because, again, they don't, it's fear and it's pride because they don't want to believe and accept that, you know, they were they have been duped, they have been lied to for decades, right? And me, thank God I'm not a prideful person. Like I'm someone who's always willing to learn, and wherever the truth leads me, that's where I'm going. No matter where that is. And I always challenge my faith from time to time. I challenge my beliefs. I challenge my thoughts. Yes, refraction. Yes, thank you. That's the word I was thinking of. Appreciate that. um, for the enemy to win, it doesn't have to be a big thing. Just mundane, and everyone is stuck in the rat race trying to survive. Yeah, when they have you distracted with so many problems and so many challenges in life, for the most part, unless you place yourself in a position where you can actually make time for these types of conversations and these types of like topics, um, you're never gonna be able to. It's always gonna be you're always gonna be bombarded with life events to where you don't find yourself genuinely making time for conversations this deep, right? And that's the sad truth. And that's something, again, I know I keep saying this and I sound like a broken record, but this is exactly the type of thing that Geeko and producer Jay we used to talk about a few years back. Producer Jay, he's a family man. He's got two girls, right? He's got an extremely important job, right? He's got a family life, and he's like super busy. And even he admitted at one point that it took him a little while to get into the groove of some of those conversations, because he had to sacrifice time and force himself to sit down and watch and listen to a lot of the documentaries that Geeko and me were telling him to watch. And he was like, I'm grateful that you guys like showed me these things. And had I not sacrificed some of my sleep and some of my time to watch a lot of that information, I probably would have never made the jump, because life always is lifing. And so it's difficult for me to like prioritize certain things. But he did. And yeah, and he's been grateful for it ever since. If it wasn't from saying, I'd almost have to give credit for how I played with it. Hey, that's awesome. That is awesome. And hopefully at some point moving forward, we could get you on here. But not now, only because, and this is absolutely zero, like no offense and no disrespect to you at all, Astro for Truth, but I tend to be very careful with like who I bring up on here with me, just because, sadly, there tend to be like lots of like trolls out there, and a lot of like what's the word, man, I don't know why today like the words just like it's hard to like grasp and hold on to words. um but yeah, there's a lot of ingenuous people, or like non-genuine people, right? Not ingenuous, non-genuine people. And but hey, you can follow me on Instagram or something, and we could have a few conversations. And hopefully at some point, when I feel comfortable and I feel like I can like trust you, and like I feel like we really are like-minded people, then I'll have no problem bringing you on eventually. Yeah, exactly. Which, you know what, here I'll give one of my emails on here, just because I have a bunch of emails. I'm sure like a lot of y'all do for similar reasons, but I'll give you one of my emails right now, because it'll be nice. It'd be nice to talk to new people and all that. Um, my journey is 25 years now, expecting the world to end. Last road led to Christ, just as a loser. You know what you got to say? Exactly. Um, I've told my awakening story a bunch of times, I think. Yeah, I know, man, I know. Like listen, I'm glad you brought that up. I'm glad you brought that up, because was I just not talking about this like yesterday or the day before yesterday? It was like, yo, I trust people. I give people my full on trust until they give me reason not to. So like I hope I know the email was like meant for Astro for truth, right? But God forbid, or I hope no troll gets a hold of it and starts like trolling me because I put it out there. But that's my fault. I'm doing that to myself at this point. But we'll weed out any like troll like emails or messages or whatever. Um, but yeah, I'm very trusting, and just don't give me a reason not to trust you anymore, right? And even when I lose trust in people, I still give people the benefit of the doubt and give them a few chances, right? Before I fully discard them. Um, oh yeah. Uh, yeah, I know that. But Dead Twist is one of those testimonies that, and I said this the other day, that keeps me going. Like when I'm actually making content on here and actually like do like the live streams or like the videos or whatever, remembering where Dead Twist was a few years back and how I met him and how he was and how transformed he has become since then and now has been like living proof that this channel is, it's not in vain. And this channel is a blessing for those who want to take it as a blessing. It will be a blessing. And I strongly, wholeheartedly believe in that, 1,000%. Um, I don't use most social media except here in Discord. Have you thought about? So, technically, I do or did have a Discord. The problem is, I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I have never sat down to understand how to use Discord in its entirety. So it's like I feel like an old man with like this really crazy technology on Discord, and I'm just like, all right, how do you do this and how do you do that and how does this work? It's really confusing to me. I really do have to sit down and watch a video on how to just use Discord so I can actually use it to my advantage, But yeah, I think I either had a Discord for this channel or have one. I'm not sure. I have to look into it. Um, okay, email, perfect. I appreciate that. I will look into that after the show. So I appreciate that. Screw chat. You were like, what? I included. Good times, good times. But anyways, yeah, and yes, trust can burn you. And you know what, Matt? But while that is true, um, it. I don't know what it is about me. I don't know. Like I know in part it has to do that, you know, to a certain degree and to a certain extent, I was cursed with, or blessed with, having like the heart of God. And what I mean by that is, I really am a forgiving person. And I see people through God's eyes and I see people through heaven's eyes. And it's really hard for me to like not give people second and third chances. Um, Obviously everybody has a limit, and I'm sure I have a limit. I've just never seen that limit being taken advantage of. Um, and so I don't know. I don't know what it is. I prefer to just forgive people and try to, reset and renew with people. If and whenever they've wronged me, I'm just like, hey, let's start over, let's start over. But yeah. Trust in the fact God wants you to trust. Exactly. Oh man, that was gross. All right. For Breeze. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You know what? I don't know how. I'm gonna use that into a shirt. Oh, it's Opal. Opal. Listen, Opal. I know you're one of those visitors and supporters that kind of like breezes through and you say your hellos, and we thank you for that. But if you're still listening, at some point down the line, I would love to like bring you on to have conversations with you um, about a lot of great topics. Um, I always enjoy hearing like a um, intellectually prepared, smart, wise female's perspective on certain matters. And I hope that one day, I can bring you up on here and we can like talk about certain topics eventually. So I don't know if you heard any of that, but if you did, the invitation will always be there for you. Um, Not trusting enough can limit you. Interesting. Interesting. Astral says, that's funny. I'm not kidding. I actually prayed today to receive a heart similar to Jawa, or it's hard to pronounce that. I'm sorry. I know you got Jahuah, Joshua, Yahweh, and so many different ways of saying it, but I hope I'm pronouncing it right, Jahuah. And now I got a random misclick and end up on your channel. That was not a misclick. I repeat, that was not a misclick. God directed your steps and your path here. And so I'm grateful that he did, because, this channel is getting back on its feet, and we're Jahuah. Okay, good. Okay. Yeah, I hope I did. I think I did. But yeah. This channel is trying to get back on its feet. And yeah, we're trying to run, because before we were walking, right? Back when it was the team, we were like walking and it was going well. And what happened to me, right? And it's been 2 years since I fell off in a lot of different areas of my life. Hard. I fell off hard. It's like I fell off the face of the earth, like out of the edges. And it's been hard to get back into it, but I'm finally finding my footing back into the waters of live streaming and YouTube. So I'm grateful for any new people that new supporters that we might fish along the way, right? Um, hey, that's stick around and listen, sir. I just don't. My bad. My bad. I don't know why I can kind of like sort of hear like your tone, like, listen, buddy. I actually do stick around and listen. Okay, I just don't comment often. That's the way I took it. That's the way I heard it in my head when I read it. But if that's true, which I believe it to be true, I appreciate it. I really do appreciate it. Um, yeah. God never does fail to surprise. Um, that yeah. I did really hard, really hard. You know what's crazy, bro? I'll make this as quick as possible, but this is how hard I fell off when what happened. And those of you who know, right? I'm not gonna go through everything that happened. But when what happened, to this day, there's been this huge, ginormous disconnect between um me and my family. And that includes Kiko, and that includes producer Jay, and up until recently, it included like even my brother to a certain extent. And to this day, my family, they, I've changed so much since what happened, that to my family, I'm irrecognizable. Um, and they still to this day worry about me. And I the communication that I used to have with like Geeko, which was like on a daily or bi-daily basis, that's been gone for 2 years now. Same thing with producer Jay. A lot of my other cousins, uh, they worry about me because they're like, it's like you isolated yourself from everybody. You haven't really let anyone in. Um, you've kind of like been to yourself, and that's the way it's been for about more than 2 years now. I they have BT. They've tried reaching out many times. Um, and I'm not antisocial. I'll always respond when they reach out to me. And I'll always let them know how I'm doing and what's going on. But because of that long strand of depression and just me isolating myself for as long as I did, because I was putting all my focus and attention to the other thing, right? To that one person, um, trying to salvage things. And by doing that, trying to salvage the one thing and the one person, I lost everybody else in my life. Um, and it sucks. It really does suck a lot because I miss having Kiko on here. I miss having producer Jay on here. Um, I miss the laughs that we used to share on here. I miss the conversations. Every now and then, I uh, I go back to the Thanksgiving stream, and I watch it for a little bit because it was like one of those last few times where we had like those like fun like conversations, and Gigo was doing his usual thing, and we had so many laughs in that stream, and the topics that we talked about were crazy, and it's kind of like all I have left right now. For now, I'm not saying it's always going to be like this. I know, I'm I am going to reconnect with my family eventually, over time, right? Because I gotta be the one. That's something that I always admit. Like when I'm at fault, I'll admit it, and I know I'm the one who I isolated myself, and so I have to be the bigger person and be the one to reach out to them and try to connect with them. And I own that. I'm very aware that I have to own up to that. But anyways, um, I try to surround myself with people I see growing and not utilizing humanistic. No, I mean, in my case, it was different. It's another story that I won't talk about right now. But that's why I say for the people who know, they know what I went through and what I put the other person through, and it's a different topic altogether. And yeah, I mean, yeah. Hopefully, this summer, if and when they do a barbecue, like I'll probably definitely go over there. I feel you put. Yeah, you know what it was. You know what it was, and I did because I'm not even gonna. You know what? No, I am gonna say it because my love was genuine. My love was real. Like I was and still am in love with that person. So yes, of course, I put everything into it, or too much into it, trying to salvage. Um, and I would do it all over again. Like the trying to salvage part, not messing up. Um, party stream. uh, adding like to my. Yeah, I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. Uh, Tell them I love them. Thanks. If you're talking about the one person that I was talking about, um, before I messed up and before I blew everything up, basically with that person, yes, they were helping me a lot. They were helping me on my path, and vice versa. We really were helping each other. It's just I didn't do certain things that I needed to do right before moving things along and taking things to another level, and it came back to bite me in the ass. Um, that's my fault, and I've owned up to it. I've fessed up to it. I've admitted to it. I've asked for forgiveness for it a million times over. Um, yeah, but anyways. All right, let's see if we can't. Where was it? Live. I don't know if we're gonna be able to. Probably already. Oh, this is recording. Camping in a tent, but no, never mind. I think we missed the whole live situation with them, the NASA people. But Dead Twist actually sent something to me on Instagram that I went up and threw up on the tab here. So we'll get to that, and I'll do my very best. I'm not going to play the entire video just because it's way too long, but I will do my very best to kind of like jump through the video and give my thoughts and commentary. I haven't noticed many friends who actually were there to help. They seem to want to hinder, but because they're in a greater position in life than me, they expect me to just. Yeah, I've been there before too, bro. I've been there before too. I know how that feels, and I always go with my gut, and I always go with wherever the spirit leads me to, right? Like for example, months ago, I sold off my car, right? That car was I had gotten done paying for, I think like maybe 2 or 3 years before I sold it a few months ago. So it was already paid off. It was under my name finally, and um, you know when I sold my car, a lot of people were like upset about it, and they were like, "Oh, how could you do that? It was already paid off. Like it was already like yours. It doesn't make any sense. You're crazy." But you know, only I understood and knew why I did it, and it made sense to me, and that's all that mattered to me in that moment. Is like, I'm not trying to do something that makes sense to everybody. I'm trying to do what makes sense to me, and it's part of my bigger plan and my bigger, you know, um, goals that I have in my life, right? Uh, yeah, exactly. Same here. Same here. Live in the basement. Yeah, yeah. Okay. All right. Here we go. Here we go. And I don't know, DT. Should I do some type of like formal announcement and be like, this is for entertainment purposes only? And what I'm about to share right here is not potentially true or confirmed or legitimate. And it's just to be considered as entertainment purposes only. Uh, that way I don't get flagged or something, right? I don't even know how they treat or handle some of these this content that sometimes we share on this channel. But all right.
I feel the cinema vigilante to dive into some elements of the Epstein case. Who is pulling the strings? And we'll see what Zafy has to say. But Zafy, first of all, welcome to the channel. Thank you so much for being here, giving up your time. Introduce yourself. Let us know more about this vigilante. Tell us a little bit, brother.
Yeah, hello everybody. Zafy Wilson over here. Not much to say, to be honest. Just a dude who decided to put on a mask one day and speak some truth to power. Originally, well, I still am a movie channel primarily, but the big part of the movie channel is to attack Hollywood and the corruption within it. I've broken down many cults related to Hollywood, many cults related to certain actors. Obviously, you have the Scientology stuff with Tom Cruise and how that connects to Stanley Kubrick. I just touched on Hugh Jackman and a cult he's a part of. Jared Leto started a cult in Croatia. Ezra Miller started a cult in a borderline militia. And the various degeneracy within Hollywood. It all kind of connects together. And that in itself overlaps with.
All right, let me do that real quick. Viewer discretion is advised. There we go. let me try it with a different voice. Viewer discretion is advised. I mean, see that. The disclaimer is in our intro, though. You know what I mean? Like where we have that, where it says like, oh, you know, some of the content that we'll share is not necessarily our point of view or our opinions and blah blah blah. But yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. Dang. Okay. That's awesome. That is awesome. 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 Okay. Not gonna lie though, some of the stuff that he's got going on his hand and stuff, you know, is I would just be cautious. Is all I would say. Okay. Fair enough. All right, let's get back into it. Let me just make them smaller so that it's harder for them to be seen, technically.
Epstein, because he had relation to a lot of people in Hollywood. Woody Allen, really Kevin Spacey, even Weinstein, like Chris Tucker even. It's insane how much pull this one man had. Probably. So I just went down the rabbit hole. My videos did well on my channel for Epstein. I was very surprised. And then, you know, it starts to get suppressed the more and more you...
Snap, real quick. You got Cray Cray in the house. Blessings and love to you, Cray Cray. I don't think so. I think that has a different meaning. But I mean, we're not gonna get into that right now. Don't ever share something that's be accurate on these. Time is close. We need to. Hey, I cannot agree with you more, but sometimes in order to get to that accurate information, sometimes we do have to kind of like skim through a lot of information. And it's like that old saying goes, you know, the truth is somewhere in between this and that, right? Like all this is information and the truth lies somewhere in between. So, you know, that's no, you're yeah, that's surely if you don't know. But okay, man, that's so tough to. Okay, so because I've heard that when you mask your IP address, yes, for the most part, you are masking it, right? At a higher scale, right, or at a higher level, but you're not truly masking it completely 100% to, you know, those bigger entities of like government or you know, those three lettered agencies. I don't know how true that is. It might be true because I feel like, I don't know, I feel like there's no way you can fully escape their hand like that unless, I don't know, you'd have to have some really big knowledge on how to manually mask certain things, you know? Oh, okay. True. Mostly working through license. Oh. Yeah. That situation that was big. I'm sorry to hear that, man. I'm sorry to hear that. I hate hearing when people go through that type of like situation for whatever reason. You know, sometimes life just really kicks you down, like when you're already down and you have no help, no support. You know, people have turned their backs on you. and it sucks. Like it really does suck. I've personally thank God never been through that, and I hope and pray that never happens. But I have seen it happen to like other people that I know personally, and you know it's heartbreaking. So I'm sorry to hear that. But yeah, so yeah, true that. All like no matter what I say on here, no matter what Geeko says on here, no matter what producer Jay says on here, no matter what Deadwood says on here, never take our word as gospel truth blindly. Always, 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 and I'll appreciate it. Like if and when I say something incorrect, or I say something that it has not been verified or confirmed or whatever, please, 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 please be the ones to be like, hey, Q, actually, I'm sorry to say this, but you're wrong about this because there's actual documentation and information that says otherwise. I'll go bring it to you, and so you can put it up on the screen, and we'll keep it going and moving respectfully, right? And I'll be like, okay, cool. Thanks for correcting me on that. Thanks for, pointing me towards the truth, right? And we'll keep it going that way. But never take whatever we say on here as gospel truth blindly. You know what I mean? Always, always, always verify. And I take that saying from like Pops. Like Pops, when he used to preach and he used to be a pastor at our church back in PR. I would say almost like before every sermon or message that he would preach, he would be like, make sure that your Bibles are open. Make sure that whatever I'm saying or like speaking from is in your Bible. Cross verify and confirm as I'm preaching. Take notes, make notes, right? And verify. If at any point in time I say something or preach something that's not in there, you have my full support in leaving the church and going to a church that's, doctrinally like sound, right? Or of sound doctrine, right? And that's something that I think I've kind of like borrowed from him. I'm like, yo, like if ever I come on here and I state something, right? Something of like serious proportions, like a serious topic, but I don't bring any like documentation or proof of some sort, again, tell me otherwise if you have that documentation or information or proof. And yeah, and I'll learn something new, right? I'll correct myself, and then we all learn the actual legitimate truth. Phone games with Honey Pity. Okay. All right. Let's get back to it. That's crazy. And that I love to see that. I love to see when people that are like agnostic or whatever kind of like hit that door or that wall of like knowledge and be like, dang, you know what? Maybe maybe I should seek out God and should look into the Bible and all that. Maybe I should pray and see what happens. That's awesome. That's awesome. All right, let's get back into it.
You go down the line, and I know you had experience with this yourself.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting that you say that because we were talking about you had set up a second channel and things like this, and as soon as you'd said what you said, I was like, it's funny you say that because I was talking about the exposure and the traffic that all of the creators were getting across all the platforms with regards to the Epstein file drop. And then as soon as the war started, it was like a friend of mine, two of my friends were banned on X. YouTube channels have started losing their partnership. Channels, it's all been suppressed. And yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. So I feel your vibe there on that. So you've sort of taken that shift. What is it that you think is the most overlooked part of the files that stand? Maybe just for you personally, what do you think people are missing the most?
Yeah, there's a couple things. One, people, the most grabby parts of the files are the stuff involving the children, all the crazy ritual stuff, the more occult stuff that people point at. But there's just a system of non-accountability when it comes to this group of elites, whether it be people involved who knew Epstein. We got the Elon Musks of the world, the Zuckerbergs, which were actively meeting with him, having dinners, all that kind of stuff. Elon Musk wanted to party with him, for God's sakes. Like, and this all happened after Elon was already convicted. Sorry, not Elon. Sorry, Epstein was already convicted. His name was in the papers. His name was in the headlines for doing this stuff, and they still didn't care. They still wanted to meet with him, talk about profit, market manipulation, all that. So it's insane. And also, going through the Epstein files, the kind of stuff that this guy knew. He met with the owner of, I think, the founder of 4chan. Ghislaine Maxwell was heavily involved with Reddit. It's very, very appropriate to say that the culture war, all this culture war nonsense, is part of a larger propaganda arm to distract from the fact that there's a group of elites owning everything and sucking everything out of regular people.
Now, I have to make a quick pause here and hold on. That from the deep state control room. So, again, not to sound like a broken record. You know what's funny? Every time I say that, is like sometimes I can't believe like how much like I talk about certain things in previous streams where I have to be like, not to sound like a broken record, but oh man. So we have stated in this channel, and I'm gonna try. I don't know how I'm gonna do it, yo. I don't know how I'm gonna do it because I know a call has done it in the past, like once or twice, and like maybe like less than a handful of other channels have done this too. But I want to find the book, right? That has to do with these people, right? Starts with an M, or starts with an F, ends with an M, right? And I want to get that book, and I want to be able to like somehow read it on here, or read certain portions of it on here, because they tell you way back when they initiated their little group, right? And they flat out said in their book, pretty much, I don't want to say, it's not word for word, but it's like really, really similar to Hydra. You know how Hydra says like when you cut one head off, two more grow in its place, right? So basically, that group that we're talking about, when they formed a little group, they stated in their book how if and when they are ever to be discovered, they would just spread out, you know, like kind of break the group up and spread out, right? And continue the work. But the work would never die. Like they would never give up on what they vowed and swore into, essentially, right? Blood oath and so many other things. But it's kind of like they would never allow that if and when they were to be discovered and say, hey, what the heck are y'all doing? Y'all are crazy. This is satanic. This is, you know, demonic or whatever. They would not allow that to stop them continuing to spread out and forming more and more of the little groups, right? And so, I mean, what's happening now is a result of that pact that they made back then. But anyways, I appreciate keep the conversation going in the live chat. That actually helps the stream. So all this information y'all put in the live chat is beautiful. I love it. It's powerful stuff. Exactly. Yeah. And that's how it is in every town and city, you know. But yeah, let's get back to it.
So I believe the culture war has always been propaganda, and the Epstein stuff kind of proves it because this guy was involved with that too. He knew,
Mhm.
he knew, and he met with the founder of 4chan, and that's where a lot of all these arguments, all these conspiracies started.
Mhm.
I wouldn't be surprised if all that was a deliberate flooding the gate formation of propaganda to do just that, flood the gate, cause this culture war, get everyone distracted by this BS politics
Yep.
stuff, because all these politicians, they all are lobbying on behalf of
Mhm.
special interests at the top. So I need people to really, really open their eyes and look. It's
You
not just
know,
a mild ritual thing. It's like everything.
yeah, exactly. You know, we had a guest on, I think 3 or 4 nights ago, and their area was delving into the social media giants that were connected to Epstein, the funding that's come from them. And, you know, for example, I give this analogy. Do you remember the iPhone 1, right? It was a phone, you could download some apps, it would send some text messages, and you could go on the internet, right? Then the next one, it had a GPS and a camera, and the next one had this, and the next one, and they condition us. By the time you get to the iPhone 17, you've got a tracker, a high definition microphone, a camera. You've given up rights to your bank. You're now dependent on it to pay for things, and all of this. It's this slow transition into control. And the social media giants, right? When you're talking about 4chan and about how there was interest in social engineering from the root parts of the internet that drive the anonymouses and that drive the Redditors and things like this, it completely falls in line with that, Zafy. It completely falls in line with decades of user habit data gathering, social media accounts being set up, and these powers that be facilitating ways to control by giving us the ability to think we're choosing to do something. And
Yep.
it's exactly what you said. You've nailed it, brother. I completely agree.
Yeah, it's these, first of all, social media is designed to be addictive. You're basically a rat in a maze that's all dependent on dopamine cycling, all dependent on you just going around the hamster wheel endlessly. I wouldn't be surprised if privacy, data, and market manipulation and social engineering were all things that these billionaires discussed on dinner tables with Epstein when he was taking pictures of them and all that. Of course, this is what they were discussing. It's all for
100%.
profit, manipulation, politics, influencing voters. Every single Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg have both been actively involved in that. They both send
Right?
data. It's factual. It's all factual. No one can even deny.
Do you know what? Do you know what, Zafy? Zuckerberg's just the poster child.
Yeah.
Zuckerberg's just the name we all know.
Mhm.
There's another guy whose name I've forgotten, and we talked about him the other day. He is like, he's the guy that's setting up all these people. He's the one that's given the Zuckerbergs the investment money to start these companies, supporting them, and then sitting in the background pulling strings globally. It's bonkers. It's bonkers. So I agree with you. I think that's a hugely over missed piece. It's easy for people to understand the traumatic horrors because we can process that. You know, child abuse bad, R word bad. Do you know what I'm saying? It's easy. But when people are like, "Oh, did you hear about the CEO from a clothing company that went on a trip here and there?" People don't grasp the relevance because of the power structure, right? And I think that's where a lot of things are falling through the cracks. And I've got this horrible feeling, Zafy, that 10 years from now, this is going to be a conspiracy that, were the files even real? Do you see what I'm saying? That's what I feel like they're pushing for. How do you feel about the reconspiracizing of the files over time as a tactic?
Yeah, I mean, we can see it happening in real time. It's part of this propaganda arm, you could say, where they're intentionally putting in information that isn't relevant at all to anything to do with scandals. But they do that so that people who are outside of all this and are objective, they see and they're like, we see all these people and all these names.
Mhm.
But then there's just one random file that has nothing to do with anything, and that poisons the well. Because then, like, if that's
Of course.
kind of sus and fake, then maybe all this isn't that credible. They're already doing this. The DOJ is already actively doing this, and then they also are purposely leaving victims' names unredacted so that they can be suppressed by outside forces. So it's all this way of just tampering and making.
Don't forget dropping a file, it going viral, then removing the file, and then the public going, "Oh, well, that doesn't exist," which discredits the people that are putting things out, and it's crazy. It's crazy. It really, really is. And again,
You know, Sometimes, talking about this topic is like frustrating, because the thing is like they have so much authority and control over all of those very important documents, right? And the more you know how much control they have over them, the less you trust not only what's found in them, or not so much what's found in them, but what's not found in them, if you know what I mean. Like, and it's kind of like a bait and switch type of thing, where it's like they'll bait you with like, oh no, all this like top secret information is gonna get like revealed, and people are gonna be thrown under the bus, and we're gonna find out who's who, and exactly, and it's like no, we're never gonna be given the entirety of the information, and that's the sad part, is right. I feel like it was. I think that's probably why I got erased off the map, is because it was like truly genuine. Like, I don't know. That's just my opinion. But anyways, yeah, we'll never have all the information that we need to have. They make you want, yeah, because of the frustration that it builds up. It's like, yo, and the thing is, you just can't trust what the government is like saying that they are declassifying or whatever. Like, sure, yeah, whatever's there, of course, if it's there in documentation or whatever, chat logs, all that stuff, sure, that's all true and all that good stuff. But what I mean is, we're never gonna be shared everything that needs to be shared. Yeah. We're gonna have the linking context. That's crazy.
Again, Zafy, I don't know when Epstein slept. The one thing that I can give him props on is he was a motivated man, Zafy. Like, I've never seen a life. If it was just one man, right? If it wasn't like a group of lookalikes or some other greater conspiracy, the man didn't sleep and was dedicated to his evil cause. I'll tell you that right now. And what's your take? What's your take on, and I need to ask you this. Mm-hmm. People often say, oh, well, Trump released the files. Trump was forced to release these files, right? Like, I've often said he's either going to be the savior of the world or the destroyer of the world, and no middle ground. He's either going to be one or the other. And right now, he looks like a guy protecting a bunch of PDF files because there's no arrests being made. And I feel like this war could be seen as a way of letting everyone run to the hills.
Yeah. First of all, this whole thing of, oh, he released the files. First of all, there was a gag order placed on the files because of the Ghislaine Maxwell case when the Democrats were in power. First of all, they would never have released the files either. Let's just make that clear, because they were not to. Right. Trump released because he had to by law. He didn't want to. There are politicians that are Republicans who have come out and said he was pushing for it not to be released, not to be released. And then when they did, they redacted the heck out of it. Yep. And now he's doing now he's downplaying it, saying, are we still talking about Epstein? These are his words.
Right.
For the files.
Good.
People who say that, oh, he's releasing them. And also people are saying, oh, but there's this coping thing that various fans of his do, where they say he was actually working against Epstein. He was infiltrating the, as a Fed, and he whistle blew. These people don't know what the word whistle blew meant. Like, they don't know what that word means.
Yeah.
Epstein was already under investigation, and there was links between Epstein and Mar-a-Lago. Trump saw that and decided to save his own butt and call the FBI saying, hey, I'm really glad you guys did this. But even now he contradicts that, because he still gives credit to Ghislaine Maxwell. He said she's a great woman. I had a lot of good times with her and Epstein. We were good friends. He's giving her all this amnesty. Like, it's very clear what side he's on here. Mm-hmm. It's not the side of the people who want to see these really exploited. It's just not.
I agree. Now, have you looked into the missing files, Zafy? more specifically, the timeline in which is missing. Because I've not looked into it too much myself, but doom scrolling the other day, there was a YouTube clip, and I'm pretty sure that the missing 3 million files cover 9/11 and all the political scandals that took place after 9/11, and it's this big missing block. And when we look at mass cover-ups and how we're fed lies, and how it seems to be very quick when a government wants to give us an official statement, but when we apply for official answers, it takes months and months and months. When people come in to do independent investigations, it takes months and months and months, and it dilutes people's interest, and it fades the story, right? And I feel like 9/11.
Not to cut in that moment, but it kind of reminds me of the whole like Balenciaga thing, where like when, you know, certain images and imagery came out, people were in an uproar, right away, and there was like music videos of, you know, people protesting Balenciaga, and people like burning up their Balenciaga shoes or merchandise or whatever. And they were up in an uproar for like a little while, like days, maybe weeks. I'll even exaggerate and say maybe even like a month, maybe a little bit past a month. But then, you know, there was an uproar and there was this and that, and then it slowly started dying down again to where now it's like people completely forgot about that issue and have gone back to supporting Balenciaga. And so it's similar in that sense.
9/11 is an incredible example of that happening, and I feel like it's a mirrored tactic we're seeing now. I really do.
Yeah, there's a lot of things involving the Clinton administration and 2001 and just that time that, yeah, there's a big gap. You'll see there's a diagram, I think, that someone pulled up, where you'll see a line of files where there is information on, and then there's a random gap around that time period. And it's very scary because people will always reference, there was those emails that 9/11 was referenced in the emails. Where is the other pilot? Someone asked Ghislaine Maxwell. We want you on the 9/11 Shadow Council or whatever the heck that is, a Shadow Commission. Like, what is this? Why is Ghislaine Maxwell related to this? Why is she being asked about pilots and all this other nonsense? And I don't know how far you want to dive deep into that, but I've had friends who've had theories about, you know, what really went on that day, and we don't need to get into the thick of it, but it does seem that it's a very suspect time period to block off a lot of files. And we know that they've deleted a bunch of stuff on Trump and the people they want to protect. But when it comes to specific events that people have always theorized about, we already saw the pandemic stuff, the weird pandemic, you know, rotates and all that. Who knows? Who knows why they were deleting certain emails? Maybe there is a lot of incriminating info that FBI, CIA collected, and they just left on the room floor because they didn't expect anyone to actually push to expose these. And now this current administration, used it to get votes. They said, we're going to release the Epstein files because the Democrats won't. And then as soon as they're in power, Pam Bondi acts like they don't exist.
Bro, you mentioned Voldemort's name. So let's just talk about Pam Bondi for a second. How much money would I have to pay you to do Pam Bondi's job? Okay, but do it the way Pam Bondi does it. How much money, bro? Like, I mean, it's been the tens of millions, bro. I watched her sitting in court, and she was asked, who gave you instructions to remove Trump's name from the Epstein files? And then this woman started talking about the arrests of a black guy and a white guy for crimes against children, and how those two cases were more important than what bro. This is in a courtroom. Imagine you were in a courtroom and they ask you a question and you throw a question back at them with nothing to do what you've been asked. You're getting your ass chewed by someone. Okay, someone in that courtroom, I don't know if it's your lawyer or the dude that's in charge, you're getting your ass chewed. And it was the same with the frat boy in charge of the FBI. Cash. It was the same with Cash. That guy cannot hide when his butthole starts doing this.
That's freaking funny.
He's a literal.
This nigga is funny. He said frat boy.
I've got my
I love
WhatsApp
it.
open on the computer.
I
One
love it.
second.
That was good.
Yeah, do you see what I mean? It's a crazy situation when you've got the head of the FBI going on the Joe Rogan podcast.
I remember that podcast too. That was
He
funny.
can't.
It was a funny watch.
It really is crazy.
I was like,
He
damn,
can't even hide.
nothing.
He doesn't have a good poker face.
This
for it.
nigga got
Can't even
nothing.
hide how weaselly he really
He can't
is.
help nobody.
He started off. He started his
Oh.
career, political career, that is, saying, "I want to infiltrate
He's-
the deep gate." That was
Yeah, I
sorry,
remember
the deep state. The
I
deep
remember
state.
that.
That was his main thing.
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah.
That was I'm going to infiltrate the deep state because there were lies about Trump and Russian collusion and all that
Mhm.
stuff. And then as soon as it's time to infiltrate the deep state, and we have evidence of the deep state in the Epstein files, he's like, "No, there's no evidence. There's no evidence." Like, bro.
Mhm.
But dude, the leader of the FBI going on a freaking podcast.
You know, I was gonna say something, but nah, it's gonna sound wrong. But it just sounds like the storyline or premise to a type of video or the type of where the person is blackmailed with some other stuff, and they're like, you know what? There's nothing to see here, guys. You know, everything's good. Everything's marching well. You know.
First of all,
Anyways,
I've asked a guy who worked at the FBI, and I was like, when has the leader of the FBI ever went on a podcast or a TV show whilst he was still in position? And he was like, never, right? And I'm like, when have they ever gone on a TV show in an Under Armour top looking like they've been in the bathroom slamming keys? Never, right? And then the guy comes out with, the official Epstein story is true. There is no evidence of conspiracy. As soon as that came out his mouth, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
This is the first time that the infiltration of new media is so obvious because they've sent in a key slamming Under Armour wearing FBI guy, and they are now going on the new media platforms to change the new media narrative, which was obviously Epstein. Epstein didn't Epstein himself. Do you know what I'm saying? There's a cover up, all of this stuff. And this was the same day that Elon Musk posted about Trump hiding the files because he's in the files, right? And it's happening as Cash is yapping. And I'm like, my brain was like, I'm too dumb to figure this all out whilst it's happening. Do you know what I mean? But that moment of Cash going on to podcasts, this clear, weaponization of narrative, okay? They aren't the people for this job, Zafy.
Mhm.
We're used to different ways.
But that's the thing, though. We're never. This makes me want to cry, bro. We're never gonna have anyone. We're never gonna have the type of people that we need in those positions, because those positions are not elected; they're selected, right? And like I've tried to have this conversation in the past with people, right? Because there's levels to this. There's levels to this, and there's yeah, exactly. That's what exactly, two sides of the same coin. But okay, I'll give you a quick example, and I'll press play on this real quick. But so I'll give you all an example, okay? So back in PR, right? So we used to live the last few years in PR in a town called Ay Bonito, right? And I want to say for like maybe, I don't know, maybe like 2 terms or something like that. So like 8 years ish. Twins of the same dragon. For about 8 years, maybe a little more. My dad worked in the mayor's office of that town. Okay, so my dad was basically the mayor's like assistant or like his personal assistant, or like if the mayor wasn't there to attend to the people, my father was the one in charge, like of like taking people's requests and making sure that those requests get to him, right? And like here and there, because I mean I was a teenager at that time. I didn't really care too much about any of that, but there were moments. Well, it's been so many comebacks that it's just Q now. It's not JDQs now. It's just Q. So that's how many comebacks I've had. But I appreciate that. I appreciate that. So like, I got to see, to a certain extent and to a certain small lower level, how things operate, right? And you know, like the whole like voting situation and counting the votes supposedly, right? I got to see all that stuff, you know, first row to all that stuff. And so, as far as like the lower level positions, right, like mayor and stuff like that, from what I saw and from what I experienced, it seemed legit enough, right? Now then, when it comes to governor and higher ranking positions like that, that's when I believe that there's some it's all selection going on, in my opinion. You know, I could be wrong. I'd have to like look into it and bring up like comparisons and you know, numbers and all that. But to me, it's kind of like from the mayor and lower, it actually is the people, you know, like picking these people or whatever. But when it comes to like governor and up, it's like selection and not so much election. Yeah. You love throwing that curveball at the end every time, don't you? It's just like to really mess with people at the end. It's like you'll come in strong and say some awesome things, and at the very end, also, in case you didn't know, space is fake. So exactly, yeah. That's always been my opinion. You know, anything lower than that, I you know, I'm okay with potentially believing anything lower than those positions are probably maybe there's a good, you know, maybe the people might elect lower positions, right? But governor and up, definitely selected, definitely. Anyways, just want to give my 2 cents on that.
When the American government has taken to covering things up, and these two aren't the ones. They do great when they've got to stand there and smile, but when it comes to the real balls to the wall stuff, they both crumbled, and we've seen that in the courtroom. So, what is your reaction to Pam Bondi and Kash Patel? That was really that was the long way round of asking you that, Zafy. I apologize.
No, the entire administration is incompetent. Pam Bondi first mentioning the NASDAQ and the Dow when she's asked about the Epstein files.
But see, it's not that they're incompetent. It's that they're instructed to deal with these things a certain way. Like they're instructed to like not give the right answers, steer the questions away to something else, or you know, give information that is half true or mostly true but has some lies in it. I don't think that is incompetency. I think it's just, I think, in my opinion, again, I could be wrong, but I think it's just that they're instructed to do things a certain way.
In front of a tribunal, like Kash Patel is on podcast with his girlfriend, trying to convince the world his girlfriend isn't a controller or a handler or influencer.
I'm sorry, what? He's on podcast with his girlfriend. Yep. Oh yeah. Okay. Well, that's my falling asleep podcast choice for this evening. Selected, Zafy. Nice one. Carry on what you were saying. Sorry. So he's on pod. Yeah. Carry on.
These aren't serious people. They're as serious as Trump is at this point, because they're all, first of all, we know that half the people in that, 99% of the people in the administration are all AIPAC shills. So they will do and say whatever is the official narrative. They can't expose the files because of what it exposes about that other country. And we can get to that later in the podcast.
Yeah. What's Israeli going on, Zafy? Who's Israeli in charge? Do you know what I'm saying?
And it's very interesting how the media tries to paint it as if it's anything else than what it is. Well, you know, there's people, I've seen some Republican officials when there's like a terrorist attack, you know, and it's like, let's say it's like a Muslim terrorist attack. They'll say something like, when they tell you who they are, believe them, right? And I just like to really, really use that same quote back to this administration. If they're telling you who they are, if they're showing you who they are, believe them. They're covering up for a class of child predators and elites that are corrupt as all heck. They are, and the Pam Bondi and Kash Patel aren't even pretending like they're good at their jobs. They're showing you how bad they are at their job. They're showing you how paid and bought off they are. These are not real lawful figures. Pam Bondi has law expertise, I'm pretty sure. Isn't she like a lawyer or something? And she's acting and answering like this. Kash Patel, you're supposed to be an official, an administrative official, you're the leader of the FBI, and you can't even. You're
Patel, aren't you a frat boy? Come on, man. Like, what happened to all the pledging? Jeez. God,
facial expression.
They forget. They forget where they came from.
Tell me everything I need to know when you're in court.
God,
it's like you guys are not the people for the job, but you're the people for Trump's job, which is one, cover for him, and then when you're incompetent as all heck, and he is, he'll throw you under the bus. It's perfect. It's perfect. So,
bro, don't worry though, because we can hack his emails and find out he's just a normal guy. Okay, he's just a normal guy that likes cigars, bit quirky. He's just a quirky guy, Zaffy. Don't worry, nothing suspicious about that at all, bro. Nothing at all. Do you know what I'm saying? I would have preferred it if it was like cash69420 at gmail.com. I think they should have went a little more creative with the email address. But you know, what was your feeling when you heard about that? Because obviously you hear leader of the FBI email hack, that's juicy, right? But then you read the story and you're like, oh wow.
I made a little reaction video to it. It was more just funny than anything else.
Yeah,
it wasn't any crazy thing. It's just he just seems like an idiot. He just seems like an incomprehensibly dumb, incompetent shitty. That's what he is to me, in my opinion. I don't really see him as a common. I think he truly, what it is he's just a dumb man who's clearly controlled and owned by a specific group of people, and that's it. I don't think Kash Patel.
It's like that guy from New York. What's his name, y'all? Help me out here. The guy kind of technically in charge of New York right now. What's his name? What is his name? Oh my God. I know y'all gonna know this because y'all probably like more in tune with like the news side of things. But that guy, every time I see him talk in like a hearing or whatever, interview, whatever, bro, I'm like, how did this guy get to be put in charge? It's crazy. I'm like I'm no expert and I'm no like professional, right? When it comes to like politics and like being able to like speak or whatever. But I'm kind of like, I don't know. I feel like really confident that if I were to debate that guy, I'd probably win for like the dumbest reasons. It's crazy, yo.
Is anything more or less than that, and I don't think he deserves to be given praise for being anything more or being anything less than that. He just is that. He's a toy.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, he's great to watch. I mean, a 10 out of 10 for Crash like Trainwreck TV. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I always know if Kash Patel's tie is really tight around his neck, he's going to tell a happy story. If his tie's down here and he looks like he's been slamming keys, you hear the train wreck's coming, Zaffy. It's barreling down the rails. So yeah, I needed to ask you about that. Right. So let's get dialing in on our topics, right? Epstein, secret boss. I'm sure everyone has got a theory of who's Israeli in charge here and what it means. Because I'll be honest, Zaffy, I don't know where you're going with this. I don't know what your theory is, but it's awfully coincidental that certain countries and certain people keep turning up in every single thing. Now, 20 years ago, we could have been like, oh, it's a bit conspiratorial, that. Now we're in the podcast era, bro. When a dude goes on a podcast and goes, oh, by the way, some of my investors from a certain country were saying a few things, and I was like, nah, bro. And then you get shot in the neck. Right? All I'm saying, Zaffy, I got some questions. The world is built on blackmail, okay? And, bro, let's just begin the main topic. Tell us where you want to start and just take us through this.
Yeah.
Man, all that, and they're just now getting to the main topic. I love these guys.
And the puppet master that pulls his string. Watch your space, brother.
I would love to break it down piece by piece, because it's very easy to say this, that. I just want to break it down from the evidence we have, and then just logically tell people that there's a logic tree here that leads to only one place.
Logic tree. Okay,
Yeah.
like it.
And okay, hold on. That was the intro, yeah. So okay, I'm kind of glad that you guys are bringing some of this up, because I don't know if y'all are. You don't have to be. You don't have to be Marvel fans or superhero fans, but there's certain shows, like the current one running right now, the Daredevil Born Again series. It's on season 2 now. I think they just got done releasing the second and third episode or whatever. But there's a lot of parallels of like what these guys are talking about right here, right now, and what you guys are talking about in the live chat. There's a lot of parallels in that show, especially in these like past few like episodes, where you get a glimpse of that. You get a glimpse of like how blackmailing works within the political structure, and how authority and power is placed into certain hands because of like fear and other stuff, right? And then also you see how easily sometimes like governors and higher ups are able to give authority to certain agencies to be able to overstep certain laws and certain certain laws or restrictions, right, in order to move their agenda forward, right? And it's all done legally, right? Legally, because technically they control like what is considered to be legal at that point. But yeah, if y'all haven't seen it, y'all should really look into that show, because it again, it's a lot of parallels to what we're all talking about. And how they're you see what I'm talking about? That's exactly what I mean. I got one. Now it's really going. See something. What? Are you kidding me, yo? Are you freaking kidding me? Bro. That's crazy. Well, hold on. All right. So, maybe normal and regular pew-pews are out of question right now, right? But there's nothing holding you back from getting paintball guns, some pepper ball guns. There's other ways around it, I hope. Yeah. And just a lot of other like not a cat here looking. No. I believe you. I'm just saying, like, there's like loopholes. There's like unofficial loopholes for that kind of thing. But martial law is no joke, and martial law is also happening in Daredevil Born Again. Yeah. Man, I'm mad, yo. I had to sell my crossbow like a month or two ago, and it was like brand new. Like I didn't even get to try it out, bro. It was like the smallest crossbow, so beautiful, green and black, and I had like 6 default arrows that I was gonna like test them out with, and now like I'm never gonna like be able to try it out. I might have to eventually buy it again. If I see it again, I'll buy it again. But that sucks, because I was really looking forward to testing that out. But I was in a tight spot and had to sell it. So, I mean, people trying to tell you like, but see, we're in the New Testament, and there's different rules in the New Testament. But we'll get back to that some other time. Let's see what they have to say. Minecraft.
We start with the fact that Epstein in the email said, "I represent the Rothschilds." All right, that's a big name that comes up in the Epstein files. Anna de Rothschild had information with him, emails with him. He was paid millions of dollars. Les Wexner said in a deposition that a Rothschild family member is the one who referred Epstein to me. That's how we got into business, because of that person. So there's all these ties between him and the Rothschilds. And then you have to ask yourself, okay, who were the Rothschilds? Well, that's a big old money family that is responsible for building a certain country called Israel. All right.
Shmishmishmil. Exactly. Yep.
And we know that a government official, a former prime minister of that country, Ehud Barak, had meetings and dealings with Epstein constantly. We know that the current sitting PM of the country had meetings with Epstein. He's mentioned in the files many times. There was a redacted photo of him with certain friends with Epstein. And when it all comes down the line, we also know that there was certain FBI documents that said, it's seeming a lot like Epstein is part of Mossad. Alan Dershowitz, Epstein's lawyer, seemed to be a fixer for Mossad. And Donald Trump himself, and this is said in an FBI document, is compromised by that same country. Jared Kushner, the person who's really behind everything in the administration, is doing things on behalf of the country, like allowing them to completely eviscerate Gaza so that it can be used and turned into a resort. Jared Kushner is literally saying this out loud. So it seems like all these people are related to this country. And funny fact about that conflict that's happening right now, the very controversial conflict, Ehud Barak and Bill Clinton, according to this Israeli, I saw this video of this interview with a high-ranking former Israeli intelligence person who said Ehud Barak and Bill Clinton, around the time that the files had been, gapped out, they were going to agree on a two-state deal. They were actually going to come to this. But certain blackmail involving Jeffrey Epstein was used against them because they were both involved with Epstein. Bill Clinton has seen in many pictures with Epstein. God knows what he did. God knows what Ehud Barak did. And a right-wing party in Israel, whose leader is the current leader of the country, used, according to him, Epstein to stop them from making this deal by blackmailing both of them, and set a chain, a motion of events that lead us to where we are now. So in conclusion, Epstein probably worked for Russia, China, maybe one of these other countries, maybe Australia. Who knows? He probably worked for one of them. There's no way he could have worked for, the other country that seems to have the biggest, deepest lobby in the US in terms of influencing policy and decision making. And not only that, they have every single billionaire supports that country. Every single one. The one who just bought the one who owns Paramount and just bought Warner Brothers is other related family member who owns Oracle and now bought TikTok, and has literally said that they were going to suppress anything that goes against the narrative of Kisrael, the country.
Damn.
So you've got Palantir, the CEO of Palantir, who also helps Israel with their weaponry and their programming and their technology, and all of this. For some reason, people can't see that everything leads to one place. All of them are supporting one single place. And we can get deeper into how that all works, why they might be supporting the place. What does this one country have on everybody besides the whole Epstein blackmail, which is a huge part of it? Why this one place? What do they have to get out of that? Even myself struggle with this question, but yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. And it's one of those topics, right, where a lot of people don't talk about that country because people are quick to turn around and use certain words and call you certain names, right? And it's a tactic that, when
So I have a feeling I know who they're going to be talking about. And I'll just say this, and this is a topic that AC has covered many times, and I think he still covers from time to time on his website. But, and you know, if I'm wrong, God forgive me, right? And yeah, um, there's a place which he's gonna bring up probably in the next few seconds. There's a place that was infiltrated and usurped long ago, and people that were not of there or from there migrated there and usurped the original like birthhood, right? Or birthplace of the actual people, right? Yep. Oh yeah. And so ever since then, you know, there's never been a good enough looking into, right? Or study done at a broader scale where we can come to the conclusion historically, right? Historically and geographically, that hey, just because this place is named this place does not mean that it's the place that the Bible is referring to when talking about this place or these people. I hope y'all are following what I'm trying to say here. But so there's never been, again, like a broad enough conversation, an in-depth study and conversation at a large scale where this situation has been explained. There's only been less than a handful of people who have covered this topic in its entirety, right? And been able to really teach like that whole situation of like, you know, this is not the place that you think it is, and these are not the people who you think they are, right? But I digress.
Somebody whips out like the gay card or like the race card or the feminist card or the whatever card when they're like struggling in an argument, and they'll just hit out with that.
Mhm.
And it's always like one of those moments where you're like, oh God,
Yep.
like, come on. Do you know what I mean? That's what I feel like that entire country is doing. Do you see what I'm saying? And it's over having an opinion over data that points to that evidence. It's not like we're sitting here trying to be one or the other. I'm on the side of the truth, bro. I don't know whose side. You kind of strike me as somebody who is on the side of the truth. Do you know what I'm saying? If you're supporting someone and you find out they're a PDF, I'm the sort of person who burns them at the stake with the rest of them, metaphorically speaking. Do you know what I'm saying? And you kind of strike me as the same kind of person. And I'm in my 40s, bro. This isn't the first time I've come across this country and these people being named and stuff. Do you know what I'm saying? In fact, for a while before the internet, there was a verbally spoken global conspiracy.
Is he Irish? Is that an Irish accent that I hear, or what is that? This guy over here. It sounds Irish or Scottish or something.
About some of these individual people from that country that you could bundle together in one set religion, having a great conspiracy around the world. Mm-hmm. Right? Yep. So I'm just saying,
Scottish. Okay.
It's not a new thing.
Not new at all.
And the data is what is new. And it's starting to back up stuff. This seems to be the year where conspiracies evolve into truth. Mm-hmm. And I'm very scared.
Not only this year, this has been happening. When was it? Between 2020 and 2023, I would say. It's kind of like where more and more of like supposed conspiracy theories have been kind of like adopted as like truth for the, not for the most part, but a good amount of it.
They're going to devolve back into conspiracy. I really am. So anyway, carry on with what you're saying, because I think we're all on board here that there's a lot of conversations about Israel. There's a lot of individuals, especially when you look at Trump and the war, bro. How many moments has Trump had that Israel had been involved in where he's lost his cool on live television because of something he didn't know was going to happen? Like, I'm pretty sure he said the F word twice last year when that little tiny war. Like, do you remember when like Trump got involved and bombed some underground stuff with those big bunker busters? And then he went on the news and he freaked out. And he gave us the impression the war had stopped, right? It was done, it was over. And it carried on, bro. It was going on. So have you noticed moments where Trump's lost control, and is that sense given further backing to he's having his string pulled by who's Israeli in charge?
Yeah, first of all, Trump is, in my opinion, compromised by the Epstein files on every level. Like he's mentioned in that more than almost anybody. But even beyond that, the Israeli lobby in the U.S. is far too strong, and it's been running a generational coup. It's been running a generational coup for years. You could say it's maybe started, was it Reaganomics that when it started? But to be honest, this has been happening for decades now, and Trump is just their new puppet. He's their new puppet. People said Trump is beyond the system because he was he was a rich guy. He didn't need anyone's donation money and all that. People don't understand that, like, donating to various candidates to help their campaign and their marketing prior to elections is one part of it. Then you have what the entire lobby does to decision making. Then you have, every single time America seems to do this thing where we want to save a country from itself, from its dictator, from its leaders, from the various terrorist organizations in it. So we're going to come in and we're going to invade. We're going to do something. We're going to bomb. We're going to cause a war, whatever it might be. And we're going to say it's on behalf of the people there to liberate them. Meanwhile, everyone with a brain knows it's to extract resources of some kind and, extend special interests of that other country. It has been the case ever since. Iran's the last major thing standing in Israel's way of forming greater Israel over the Middle East. The UAE is not doing anything. They're all puppets. All the Emirates, first of all, one of them was in the Epstein files. I think Dubai's leader was in the Epstein files. Yeah, the UAE is an entire puppet show. They're all fake leaders. There's nothing spiritual about them. They are all bought and owned by that country. So is the leader of India. They know that the only person in the Middle East that will fight back is Iran. So and this whole nonsense about, we had to strike them because they were going to launch a nuke at us. The Prime Minister of Israel has been saying for 30 years that Iran is going to launch a nuke. It has not happened. Only one of them has signed on in the UN for nuclear proliferation. That's not Israel. It's Iran. Israel does not want its nukes searched. Israel wants to maintain this vague notion of maybe we have nukes, maybe we won't, but we're not a threat. Everyone with a brain knows that the U.S. doesn't care about setting the people free in Iran. There's so many dictatorships in the world that the U.S. can set the people free from. Israel could stop the U.S. could stop a genocide that's happening right now in Israel on Gaza. They don't care about any of that. It's all for the special interests. We want to help Israel create greater Israel. We want a lot of resources. We want oil, and we want the Strait of Hormuz, where all the oil trades and all the ships go through. We want that. So it's all strategic, and it's all on the behest of Israel. They effectively own Trump. I will say, it's not just that Trump is implicated in the Epstein files. He definitely has interests that align with them. He clearly wants power. He wants greed. Because he knows as long as he's aligned with them, he can be allowed to do that. The lobby influences everything. They see Trump as, this guy is so good for us. He's causing so much dissidence within his own country, but it's not going to lead to anything revolving around us. The problem is they underestimated the power of social media. They underestimated the power of information and how fast it can get to people. Conspiracy theories can blow up like this and go viral.
Tiny bit, bro.
Yeah, they're trying to actively influence what we say about that country using that card that they pull. And that card has been pulled more than any other in history, I think, at this point. It's been pulled more than any other almost. So,
well, I was saying last week that it's impressive that instead of going straight to invading another country to distract us all from the Epstein files, Trump tried a few things, right? There was I forget the name of the country in South America they invaded with the super soldiers, the drones, and the decombobulator, right? Then there was invading Greenland, okay? They even whipped out the shoebox of alien evidence, Zaffy. Right, they whipped out the shoebox and started shaking it on the screen and going, "Forget about the PDFs, and we'll show you what's in the box." No one cared. For the first time, we all went, How about keep the aliens and just make one arrest? How about that? How about I can even give you a real easy name. Let's just go and have a chat with Woody Allen, right? And we just say to him, "Now, Woody, we want to give you a chance to explain what PDF party in Paris did you want tickets for?" And we'll just let him die in the silence. Do you see what I'm saying? Because I think
That's wild.
Zafster, right? That at this stage, if you're in the Epstein files and you're clearly using words like PDF file but spelt properly and calling yourself one of those, I think warrants a chit chat. That's all I'm saying. I don't know how you feel, but I feel like that would warrant a chit chat. What the hell is going on? We've had two nonsense arrests in the UK. We had the guy from the BBC and we've had Prince Andrew, and they're both getting done for abusing your position of power crimes. Now, they do come with up to a life sentence, right? I mean, there's serious charges. But we're talking about administrative charges, like insider trading and stuff like this, where there's no mention of horrible crimes against children, okay? And do you think we're going to see any progress in America? And if we do you think it's going to be the same way as they've gone around it in the UK, where they look for the lesser charges and leave out the global transportation ring?
Yeah, exactly that. They will. First of all, I don't even think the U.S. will get to that stage by at this point. If the leadership changes and there's something institutionally that's just different about the administration on a fundamental level, then maybe. But I doubt it. I would say, worst case, it's like those small things that can get you on, that you can get. It's all going to be around how much money you can pay to get off. That's literally, it's systems designed around these rich people anyway, so it won't matter at the end of the day. Plus, lawyers can easily say, first of all the evidence in the files is circumstantial and it's all hearsay. If someone called himself a PDF file, who's to say he wasn't joking? But they can use little technicalities like that,
right?
In my opinion, let's forget the arrests, forget like a full-on trial. It warrants a deposition. You met with this dude, you knew stuff he was doing, you used those words. That is enough to warrant at least a deposition. Get him on the public stage. Make the deposition public. If you're not going to get him to the trial, let's have a trial of public opinion. It seems fair. But it's very easy, and people have emailed me this. Zaffy, unfortunately, it's very easy for lawyers to actually get around a lot of these things. So even if these people are brought to trial, with the amount of money and influence they have on the outside and what they can do with their lawyers on a technical level, likely thing is they're probably not getting punished.
Bro, if your entire country, right, if their gross GDP is like what, 5-6 billion, and you're taking a guy to court who's got 70 billion in the bank, right? Like, what chance of justice is there really, right? Because these social media dudes, like, like if you've ever met somebody who has their own business, they're declaring stuff to the government, right? But sometimes a little something goes in the drawer. Trust me, right? Like, these people are, if you can buy a country with just the change down the back of your sofa, right? How is that a level playing field for a country bringing you justice? It's impossible. And some of the people behind Epstein are beyond your comprehension of wealth. It's crazy.
What you said is the answer to it all. When people ask, why isn't there anything? Why aren't there no arrests? All that. You guys need to understand who we're dealing with. We're dealing with the elites. We're dealing with the people who own most of the wealth in the country.
Yes.
We're dealing with people who have offshore bank accounts. They own islands. These people can own human beings, for God's sakes, right? Yeah. This is not a level playing field. The legal system is tailor-made for these guys.
It's crazy. Like, can you imagine being in a position, right, where you get a lawyer's letter saying we're going to take you to court? So you phone up the company and buy the company of the lawyers and then shut it down, right? Like that's what we're talking about here. And it wouldn't even affect your bottom line, bro. Right? It would be like 4 zeros down from the start of your money that would be affected. Like a number would go down by like 1. Do you know what I'm saying? That's crazy, man. It's crazy. And that again is something that is overlooked because people believe that it's the Diddies. They believe that it's the surface level, what I refer to as the peasant level criminal in this elite ladder. If we can see them, they are bottom ladders. They are way down, way down. Yeah. And it's interesting, Zafi, because Epstein, Mark Giuffre, and Diddy, all individuals with a clear global RICO chase charge to be slapped on them. But it's okay if they're perverts, Zafi. Okay? It's okay for you to go to jail if you're a Hollywood pervert, but we're not even going to bring to the table the comprehension of a global group or a syndicate or a cartel of elites or Hollywood elites and cartels. They shy away from it, bro, in America. Those 3 cases are complete evidence to all of that. When somebody like Epstein supersedes the standard mandatory sentencing for R-ing an underage girl and transporting her, we've got to ask questions, bro. We've got to. And what else do you feel is maybe not overlooked, but is what people are missing about your point here about the country in charge, about the realities of the blackmailing and the grasp around the world? Because it's something that I imagine is also on your list of things that people are missing or understanding the true magnitude of, right?
Yeah. When people say, "Oh, it's a group of Satan worshipers at the top," they're Baal worshipers and all that. I need people to understand that even that is a simplistic way of viewing what's actually going on.
Yes.
In my opinion, this wasn't simply about Baal worship or anything like that. Jeffrey Epstein had so much power, had so many connections. He was backed by Mossad. You have to ask yourself how he made his money in the first place. It doesn't even make sense if you trace it all back. He was clearly given everything he had, and he was planted. When you get to a certain level of power and influence, what happens is you stop seeing people as people. You see them as little buttons that you can push.
Yep.
So why not do this to a child? Why not do this random sacrifice? Why not take pieces of the Kaaba and use it for black magic or some weird stuff? Why not do designer baby experiments and the super soldier experiments at this ranch in Mexico? Mm-hmm. Why not do this with people? Why not create a chessboard and design it like my servants and my workers? Why not have a trap door in the middle of the ocean? It's just all this is like button pushing by people who have lost their humanity. They don't see people as people. They see them as little toys to use.
Bro, you nailed it. But I don't think they lost their humanity. I think you are born with the ability to love or not. And I think people who are psychopaths, like most of these people are, people want to say it's demonic. People want to, sure, right? But when you boil it down, whether it's reptilians, whether it's freaking nasty people, whether it's demons, whatever, psychopaths, right? Mm-hmm. And they can look, like, for example, we look at kittens and go, oh my God, I want to pick up 3 of them and go, oh, they're so cute. They want to snap their heads and drown them in a bath. Yep. Do you see what I'm saying? So when we're dealing with that level of inhumanity, when we're dealing with evil, Zafi, evil only exists in this world when humans think and act. No other species is capable of evil, okay? Mm-hmm. So good and bad has to exist. That's the balance of the world, the yin and yang, right? But evil has no place. And when you're talking about the ability to just go, all right, now 5 kids for Baal, get them sent in for the cultists, it is crazy how dead on that is. It's dead on. It really is. And to be honest, that's just the stuff we know about, because if we're talking about the 1% having secret knowledge that controls the whole world, we have to assume this has been going on since the dawn of time, bro. Yeah. We really have to.
There's people who gravitate towards conspiracy theories, and I find it understandable because I can relate to it. A lot of the people who talk about conspiracy theories, a lot of them can be nut jobs. They can be the way they talk. Oh yeah, all of them. Some of them are just genuinely nut jobs, but when you have the kind of information we are getting from the Epstein files now, it's not enough anymore to say it's still probably a conspiracy. No, again, when they tell you who they are, believe them. They don't care about whether you think it's a conspiracy or not. They just want to do things. They want to accumulate power, control, and they're going to do whatever they want to get it. It doesn't matter if they eat a kid or they transport one or they do that's all their pastime. Jeffrey Epstein had insane aspirations. Like you said, the man didn't seem to sleep. He had connections to absolutely everything. This man was trying to create an army of super soldiers with his own DNA. Like, this is the kind of levels of craziness we're getting to. This guy did all this.
Bro,
he's related to everything.
The fact that he didn't have a helicopter that flew out of a skull carved out of a cliff blew my, like, that's the level of evil. This is Scooby-Doo shit. You understand? This is like it's bonkers, bro, because like that's just the tip of the iceberg. And that's crazy enough. The guy was talking about time travel, bro. He was talking about, are the right proteins in humans right now for time travel? Jeffrey, tell me more. Like, what are you talking about? It's bonkers, man. It's bonkers. And like I say, it's those CEOs of companies that develop sciences that I can't spell the name of that we need to dial in on next, because there's some stuff going on, bro, when billionaires are talking about this stuff.
Well, yeah. First of all, the fact that Bill Gates has not had a deposition is insane to me. The man was talking to Epstein all day. Like, it's insane. Like, to not take Elon to task, okay, fine, I understand. But Bill Gates, there's literal documented information showing communications with him, and the word pandemic shows up multiple times. He asked Epstein for medication for like a sexually transmitted disease or whatnot, like with the hooker. Like, how are you have to be taken to charge for this? You knew stuff was going down, and he was a convicted offender when you were talking to him. That's the most suspect part of it. You didn't care. That wasn't. What does that say about you that you would hang out with someone?
Not just hang out, not just okay. It was a business deal for $4 billion. Oh no, you wanted to come and party. You wanted to come and party. And I'm not saying a business deal would be forgiven, but you could see the allure of money by somebody who could put aside a man like that for greed. Whereas this was just party boy mindset, bro. That was the vibe I got. You know what I'm saying? No,
I want to make it clear for the audience here. Epstein was a convicted offender when Elon Musk emailed him saying, when's the wildest party on your island? I don't want a normal time on island. I want to get wild. Wow.
Right?
Epstein was an offender when this was sent. Elon knew. Everyone knew.
Not just an offender, right? A child sex offender, the worst kind of offender, bro. Do you know what I'm saying?
They didn't care. Elon was
no, they didn't.
Party it up. These people are sick human beings. They're degenerates. They need something. Listen. I could rant about what I would want to happen, but
me too, bro. Me too. We could sit around the campfire and smash beers for many hours, just going, no, but listen. It would be a lot of that, man, because the occult side and the SRA and the abuse of children, the trafficking, easy to understand, okay? And again, it's horrible. None of the survivors have even been taken seriously in this Trump administration. They were all, do you remember when they were like, if there's any survivors, can you stand up? And all those women stood up. And like,
Pam couldn't even look at them.
Bro, it was just, it was so sad. Because they're...
Yeah, the same thing with the McMartin case where, all those victims were talking out and were, talking about their experience and what they were put through and giving their testimonies, weren't taken seriously. Like, it's crazy. It really is baffling. Like, that's when things are controlled at the highest level. Like, when you have people that don't know each other, but had extremely similar situations and comparable experiences, and for whatever reason is like thrown out into the mist to never be seen again and never be heard of again. Really is terrifying, and that's why a lot of victims don't even care to go to the police anymore. Because they have this strong feeling and strong sense of like nothing's gonna happen, and they wouldn't be completely wrong. I I knew someone who told me about something that they went through and how they went to the police, showed the marks, showed the evidence, showed the proof of, you know, the attack and the abuse and everything, and they didn't take her seriously. They shrugged it off and just was like, you know, it's not enough proof. It's crazy. It is crazy.
They're right there, Pam. Ask them now. They're right there, bro. They're there.
Mm-hmm.
And I honestly, it's, you know, when people say to you, you can tell a lot about a person by like how they treat their mother or the elderly or animals and stuff like this. Like, it's very telling when you have the leader of the Department of Justice denying the testimonies of the most credible and the most backed survivors of all of this. What does that say for the next victim? What does that say for the future of America when it's staring us in the face how the most vulnerable are treated, Zafy?
It's incredibly demoralizing. It must be for all of them. I would insist that now that there's more public pressure than ever, and even that's dying down because of this, you know, this whole war and all this propaganda that's being circulated by that administration and the people who support it. It's also, I think one of the worst things is I can actively see people posting fake manufactured outrage about random other BS topics to get away with this. So that's another thing for victims. You have to be surrounded by all this schlop online that's distracting from the fact that you were a victim of this terrible regime.
Do you remember the energy the internet had when they went after Andrew Tate?
Yeah.
Do you remember global news, bro? Handcuffed on the front of every newspaper. He was accused. There wasn't files. Where's the Andrew Tate energy for the Epstein files? Right? Where's the Andrew Tate energy for the Epstein files, mate? Where is it? Because we had a theory brought up about intentionally being a dumbass in power over decades to condition the public that, oh, well, they're not going to deal with it because they're dumbasses. When in actual fact, they're actually smart asses who've conditioned us to believe they're dumbasses so that we passively get over things not being dealt with. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, it's stuff. It's interesting. Stuff like Diddy. All these things where it's an easy gotcha, you know, like Andrew Tate, you know, he said so much crazy stuff that people were like, okay, this is an easy person that we can have. All right, him and Diddy and all these other people, even they use Michael Jackson. You know why? Because Michael Jackson's dead and he can't defend himself, and he has all these allegations against him already. They can.
Is he though? Is he really? I don't even know. I don't even know anymore.
Throw all the people under the bus that is appropriate because, okay, well, it's already too late for them. Good. So we're going to put everything on that. But when we know that there's some weird stuff happening about these other people that we don't want anyone to know about, we're going to, like you said, pretend like we're idiots and not know what's happening. It's just about public relations and PR, right? Andrew Tate's got terrible PR about him. He's admitted to all this crazy stuff that he's done. He had a deleted video in which he admitted to these kind of crimes. Okay, cool. We know this is cool. This is a cool thing to go after. But there's currently a freaking genocide happening. We're not going to go after any of that because we're going to be called certain things.
There's a couple, actually. There's a couple. There was one in Africa involving hundreds, like tens of thousands of Christians that just no one talked about. I'm not going to mention it. You know, let's not talk about it. You know, it doesn't fit a narrative that some extreme barbaric versions of religion that really don't have a place in a modern world seem to be spreading, allegedly. And there's some stuff happening. Okay? There's some stuff happening, Zafy. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, it's kind of insane. It's kind of insane how we're expected to go along with the official narratives at all times. They expect us to. They don't care about anything anymore. They just expect us to, and they're not. In my opinion, I don't even think that certain country that we named that we know was behind Epstein. I don't even think they really truly. They know that they can do whatever they want now. They absolutely know it. They know they're going to take over the Middle East, and we're not going to do a damn thing to stop them. The people will not revolt. And that's the other thing I'm questioning. My friend asked me, what will it take at this point to start a revolt? and have people just flood these institutions and grab these take them out. What will happen? I'm like, bro, do you understand what we're dealing with? These human beings, we don't really have the incentive, just isn't there for us, and it's really, really disappointing that I have to say that.
I agree with you, mate. I say, if the whole of human history is a library and the last chapter is our generation, compared to the rest of human history, we are the wet wipe chapter of human history. We are the ones who are allowing silent invasions. We're the ones who are allowing tyrannistic government control. We're the generation that are watching everything that was fought for and bled for be taken away, and then some crazy thing that we've got to pay a monthly subscription for gets rolled out, and we've got to pay for that. And it's insanity. It's insanity, bro. Years ago, we would have dealt with things with pitchforks and sticks on fire as a united little community. But we got away with the community, and we got handed a phone, and now we stare at that, and now we believe the headlines, and we can't talk to people because, hey, shit yourself and stay inside and consume and obey, right? Do you know what I'm saying? Couldn't be more convenient. A touch of a button, McDonald's arrives. A touch of a button, your Amazon arrives. Do you know what I'm saying? And you've got a country preaching how amazing it is now, it's going to save the world. But there's people, you know, in America, people have to burn their trash. There's some places in America that still have to burn trash in our actual towns. What you do in America? I tell you what, see, when all of your citizens can put their garbage in the street and then have it collected, then get involved with the rest of the world. Trump, you dumbass. Okay, like that's how I feel, Zaffy. I went off on one there. I've got triggers, mate.
No, I understand the sentiment very well.
It's true. That last, I mean, all of it's been true, but that last portion, sad but true. Sad but true. The incentive, sadly, is not there for the majority to rise up together unanimously and do what we got to do. Because although the majority of us think and feel the same way, only a few of us are willing to truly rise up and like band together and like march forward against all this. And the majority of our portion, you know, we're gonna be like, oh no, because what if they take away my job because of that? And what if they take away my my career because of that? I don't know, guys. Maybe we should just leave it alone. That's the majority of people who are like-minded, but are not willing to put up a fight, versus the small portion of that mindset being like, let's do it. If we all band together, like, we have control. We have the upper hand because we are the majority. But the higher concentration of our majority is scared. So I feel I use it right. Yeah, I'm telling you, bro. Like, fellowship, the necessity for fellowshipping is no joke, brother. I always advise you to just pray and truly seek where God wants you to be. Tell God and ask God, hey, lead me to a church that, you know, speaks the truth, speaks your word, you know, sound doctrine, etc. Julia, Miss Julia is in the house. Thank you, Julia, or Julia. Thanks for being here. I appreciate the support. I truly do. It means a lot to me that you're here, so appreciate that. Now you're good, bro. You're good. So, but yeah, when it comes to like finding a church, and you've never been a part of a church, I always tell people, pray for a while. Like, pray and ask God for a while before making a decision. Because, oh, that's right, you did tell me about that some time ago. I forgot. But I guess, like, in general, I always tell people or advise people, like, hey, don't just go to any random church. Like, pray before you go, and then when you start testing the waters of different churches, like, if you ask God for the discernment and you ask God, you know, to reveal to you where He wants you and where He has a purpose for you, He'll lead you to the right place. You'll feel it. Like, the Spirit will lead you. But yeah, bro, I mean, that you gotta stop freaking around, and you got to be part of that brotherhood, man. I know it's tough. I know it's tough because even the church that I currently visit, I'm trying to push myself to go on more days throughout the week and not just on Sundays, because that church has been a blessing to me, and the members there, right, or the brothers and sisters there, they have been trying to be welcoming to me, and they've tried to, like, trying to make a connection with me, and I've been trying to also follow up on that connection. And I have not been able to truly follow through how I've been wanting to. So I know it's not easy, especially when you don't 100% feel entirely at home sometimes, because I already got used to my old church back on the island. So it's kind of, when you're comparing, it's tough. It's really tough to bring yourself to a place where it's like, they love me and I love them, right? And yeah, it's not that easy, but yeah. Yeah, and it's even better when you are in the same room with other like-minded people of the faith, and you're all singing and offering worship together, right? There's something about it where it's different. And I'm not saying, that, oh, it's more powerful, even though technically it might be. But what I mean is, it's just a different atmosphere altogether when you're in a place, jointly worshiping and praising God together as a family, as a collective, as like one people. There's something just beautifully elevated about a moment like that. And as a former musician and as a former like worship leader, I can tell you there's a big difference, gigantic, almost night and day. When you find yourself like worshiping in the privacy of your home versus like, with your brethren at a temple, right? And you're all together. It's just different. And Julia knows, because she's actually an active worship leader at her church, and she knows what I'm talking about, and she knows that it's 1,000% true. Yeah, exactly. Relation make it official. So yeah, don't trust man, right? Because God tells us not to trust man. Like, trust God and just filter people through God. That's best best advice I can give you about that. Yeah, that's why you have to scrutinize, and you have to filter everything and everyone through the scripture, right? You through God Himself, and ask for discernment. That's like, man, here we go again. Not to sound like a broken record, but discernment. Like, discernment will save your life. This discernment will keep you out of trouble that could be easily you can easily brush with, without it. Like, but back to the Q channel, by the way. Wait, what do you mean? You talking about your boy JDQ? Or I think that's what you meant. But don't go, man. You gotta try to get back to the Vision IView TV channel. Your boy JDQ, rest in peace sometimes. Okay, yeah, so here, let me guide you back to our way, I guess. Yeah, definitely, also it's always good to ask around too. You want to judge churches. I mean, we're called to righteously judge, right? that's where a lot of people get it wrong. The Bible doesn't say do not judge or let's be judged. It says, yes. It also says judge righteously, right? Um, this one, Astro, the Vision IView TV channel. It's the main one that I've been trying to revive and move forward with. The old channel, your boy JDQ, I'll like from time to time, like today, I'll use it because I think these topics, like I said at the beginning of the video of the stream, these topics are so unifying that it shouldn't matter, whether or not that channel is for the purpose that it was for or not. So I'm glad you asked that question. Oh, snap. Oh, man. Look who it is. Look who it is. That's us. Look who it is. It's Producer Jay. Yeah, so I agree with you, Astro. So the reason I have it laid out the way I do, right, is it's supposed to mean to be careful what you listen to and what you watch, right? That I know, and I've gotten this way at the beginning of the channel, and people are like, oh, the symbolism and all that, which is true, but it's kind of like it's a dual thing. The same way a call has the symbolism in his logo, and he's mocking it, right? Because he's got the pyramid in the eye, but the eye is like crying, right, and on fire. It's like similar to our channel, where in a way it's that type of like mockery, but also it's like a two-edged sword. At the same time, it just means to be careful what you listen to and what you watch. So be careful what you listen to and consume and what you watch and consume, right? Protect your eyes and your ears from what you consume. I want to someone to see what they're saying now, Joyce. I'm sorry. Hey, I mean, if that's your journey, I respect it and I understand, because you can't be too what's the word, man? You can't be too safe nowadays. And I get that. I get it. That's good. I mean, I 1,000% agree with that. If that's something that you feel in your heart and your spirit to do, then definitely do it. I feel like in a way the spirit might be leading you to do it that way. Correct. Correct. You got to protect what you allow to enter into your mind. Correct. Just want to see what they say. Background of the world is by all evil. Pyramid is white because becoming the section will lead people into thinking it that way. In the red. Huh. It's funny. I was going to ask you about your symbolism earlier, but I got sidetracked. Correct. Eyes are the lamps of. Well, isn't it the windows? I forget, man. The eyes, not the windows of the soul, but also through the eye you can see light, so it also functions as a lamp. Yeah. Do not enter symbols for refusal, acknowledgement that permanent powers actually. Oh, okay. Okay, do not enter symbol is for refusal of acknowledgement that the pyramid of power is actually good in any. Okay, gotcha. Hey, huge, gigantic, ginormous shout out to Third Born Media, aka Producer Jay. He's one of the main co-founders of this channel. So I'm glad that he's here too. Yeah, definitely huge shout out to him. And I think this might be the third or fourth stream that I've done this week. Maybe the third, I'm not sure. And I think last week I was dipping my toes and doing a few streams here and there. So, you know, moving forward, I am trying to do this more consistently, like back when we were active on here. So, Jay, you know, if and whenever you do have free time, just let me know in advance, and you know, I'll send you the link to get on here and have those good old conversations that we used to have. So, um, uh, I appreciate that, Astro. That's actually pretty cool. I feel blessed and honored to be the first one that you've explained it to. That's huge props and respect, and you know, I appreciate that. That means a lot. Um, hmm. Yeah, this is a message for Thirdborn. He's saying that he was a lost sheep, but he allowed himself to be found by by Jesus Christ, and he is now part of our herd. Well, yes, part of. I know it sounds wrong, but you know what I'm trying to say. um, Amen. We receive it. Thank you for being here. I really genuinely do appreciate the support and, you know, the love. The fact that you were here for as long as you were. I am nothing but grateful and thankful for that. At the most genuine level. So thank you a trillion times over for being here. Yeah, man. Yeah. Feel free to always. Like I said, I'm gonna try to, because it's been forever since I've been actually consistent to be on here on a daily basis. Usually, I would do short videos throughout the week and have like one or two live stream days. But I guess for now, I'll try to get on here mostly on lives and just, you know, do shorter videos a little less or a lot less. Yeah, it really is. It really is. I mean, it didn't take too much effort because it's easier to smile versus harder to frown. Exactly. Yeah. Hate takes effort. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of sort of glad that I did use the your boy JDQ channel as a supplemental um streaming, you know, boost, if you will, to because, you know, like some of the people that passed by came in through there and were, you know, they were pretty wholesome. They're pretty nice. I don't think we had any trolls, at least not the bad kind. So, you know, it was okay. I think I'll try to kind of like keep using the your boy channel as a supplemental booster for the views. So, anyways, what time is it? It's gonna be 10. Yeah, I'm gonna be here for a few more minutes. But I think like around 10ish, I'll call it a night. Um, and keep things going tomorrow because yeah. But yeah, I think, I mean, overall, uh, tonight's stream was packed with information. It was packed with a lot of great topics, per usual, and I'm just grateful and thankful for everybody who was here. Whether it be for a second, whether it be for the entirety of the show, I'm grateful regardless. And the Father above wants you to love each other as brothers and sisters. We don't need to let these losers run. So yeah, I mean, uh, it's we're that the crazy part is we are the majority. That's the crazy part, and it's really frustrating. Like we are the majority, yet the majority is allowing the very few to dictate and run. You know, so much of our lives. It's ridiculous, but you know. So long as we have people who are scared within the majority, we're never going to be able to accomplish anything. You know, because that, yeah, exactly, exactly. We are the handicapped majority. It's like, okay, I got this. So it's like we're Superman, but we have like a big chunk of kryptonite inside our stomach, and it's eating us alive. That's like the best way I can put it. That's like the best way I can illustrate it. It's like we're Superman. We're all, we're powerful, right? We have all these capabilities and all this untapped potential, but there's like a huge stone of like kryptonite lying in our stomach, just like rotting us from the inside out. It's crazy. He must be merciful. Yeah, yeah. I know. That's why I call you the Peter of our time. I straight up, I think I did this last time. I was like, you're like the Peter of our time. That's what you are. That you are. I mean, no guts, no glory type of thing. And I respect it, because to a certain point, I mean, I see myself in that manner too. Just not maybe all the way like you. I feel like I would be like right behind you. Like, I feel like I would use you as a shield, like Deadpool used the other Deadpool as a shield. That was messed up. That was messed up. That's what it feels like, though. Oh my goodness. The minority of true Christians have more power collectively than the satanic powers that be have faith. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Now, if we could all like find each other and all like hold like a I don't know, like a month-long fast to see the power of God just manifest. That'd be amazing. Faith can move mountains. I took that literally. And faith, it's crazy that you said that. And for like a brief moment yesterday, or maybe it was today. I don't know if it was today or yes. I know it was recent. But mom, my sister, and me, like one of us mentioned that verse, and mom was like, oh, but remember, that's figuratively and like metaphorically. And I was like, why does it have to be metaphorically? Why can't it be like literally? Like, oh no, because like what would you want to do? Like why would you want to move a mountain? And I was like, but that's not the point. The point is that if I needed to move, God gives me that authority to move it through my faith. But that's a whole nother conversation altogether. God, I was telling beyond patience that my path is to push other Christians. Yeah. Amen to that. To live from the I'll take one for I was kidding, man. I'm gonna stand right there next to you. Come on, man. Don't do me like that. I'm not gonna use you as a shield. Crazy. I take your advice on the apostles over early church fathers, or what says to you. Amen. Amen to that. Endure to the end. He who endures to the end, that's who will be saved. Even before save you know me like this. Yeah. Oh yeah. True that. But yeah. I mean, you know what I meant though. Anyways, I think, yeah, we only have like 2 minutes left, so I think we covered a lot of ground tonight, and I am grateful and thankful for every single one of you. Just do me a huge solid and a huge favor, please. And this is me. I rarely ever do this, but when I do, I really say it and do it with the hope that my words are not taken lightly, right? Because so if you enjoyed hanging out tonight and you enjoyed what we talked about and you enjoyed the like-mindedness and you enjoyed the interaction, right, the back and forth between you guys and myself, and vice versa, then I highly, highly, highly um, implore you. It's a high request from me to you that if you have or know of other like-minded individuals, right, like us, or people who are like on the fence, people who are on the fence that they want to believe and they want to uh, kind of like see things through our eyes and through our lens, please send them the link to this channel. Please send them the link to this stream. Please send them um, a link or something that will lead them here, because I really do believe in this channel. And if Dead Twist is an example and living proof that this channel is not in vain, then I want to know how many more Dead Twists we find and fish along the way through this channel. So I'll highly appreciate it if you share this channel with other people, your family, your friends, your coworkers, your neighbors. Just please share it forward. It'll mean not just a lot to me, but it'll mean a lot to the movement as a whole in general. Good conversation, my brother. We will connect. Gotta sit down, but amen, amen, bro, amen, amen. And thanks for stopping by. It really means a lot to me. I was tearing up earlier, but I'm glad you missed that. So, if I can be saved, exactly. That's exactly my point. If Dead Twist has been saved, that alone should yeah. And we as a channel, as a community in this channel, back when we were like super active, I remember like um, Emily, Kiko, I think maybe at some point producer Jay, and a few other of us, including myself, obviously, were like, man, could you imagine what God would be able to do through someone like Death Twist if he actually crossed over and like made the leap of faith and actually gave his life to Christ? Like, and again, you like seeing you as an example of the fruit of our labor on here. It was a huge wake up call to me and a reminder that this is not in vain. This channel and what we do on here is not in vain. So, yeah, Boston, yeah, yes, correct, and we all have our struggles, and we all have our battles, and we all have personal demons that we have to deal with on a daily basis. However, things get better in and through Christ. So, I don't know about that, man. I feel like you had to have repented already at this point. Okay, wrong response. It's been living with weird things. Yeah. Wait, what do you mean wrong response? Like to what I said, or I'm confused. I am confusion. I'm that guy. Oh man. I mean, I hope I didn't say. And oh, okay, got it. So there was like a slight delay. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, yeah. To then have everyone not believe you when it comes to geopolitics, and in a lot of other areas too. But here we are. anyways, I am gonna start wrapping things up though. Um, thanks for being here. And again, just before I leave, if you guys enjoyed this tonight and you enjoyed the like-mindedness and all that, refusing to, right, right. See, there continues to be like a slight delay in some of like my responses and all that. But yeah, I feel like you had to have already repented. Like if you've come this far, I feel like if you haven't, then tonight's the night, and I implore you to repent, but before tonight ends. But hey, only him and God knows about that. I don't know if he was kidding or not. I hope he was kidding. It feels like he was kidding, but I mean, at this point, I'm just gonna trust God with his life. But anyway, um, yeah, yep, that's true. That's true. Yeah, yeah. Um, but yeah, guys, please share the stream and the channel forward to like I said, your friends, your coworkers, your neighbors, your family, um, and obviously anyone like-minded. I'll appreciate it, but the movement as a whole will appreciate it. Man, I kind of wish Tim would have stopped by for a few. It's always nice to see him like pop up on the streams and stuff. And I did share his last few videos that he had put up. Good stuff, really good stuff. Anyways, y'all, yeah, that's it for tonight. At this point, it feels great to it. Yeah, I have a topic in a conversation that I want to bring up on one of the future streams about that, um, but not tonight. Yeah, well, I'll bring it up. I don't know, at another stream or a video or something. But yeah, I agree. Yep. All right. Love you guys. God bless every single one of y'all. This is great. I feel blessed. I feel blessed to have you guys here, and I'm grateful and thankful. So I'll see you guys next time. That might be tomorrow night around 7:30 ish. It just depends on what's happening before that, but I'm gonna try to be here by 7:30, no later than 8 um, Eastern time. And yeah, till next time. This was Q with Vision Eye View TV on YouTube. God bless. Love y'all. And until next time, peace.